Okay, so let's proceed. Welcome back. It's your one and only Scratch teacher, Charlie. Yeah, we're on this journey together, and I'm so glad you joined me right from the start. If you've not watched the other videos, possibly this is the first one you're watching, you're welcome on this journey of discovering the principles of coding. Yes, we're teaching you the basic principles of coding. Yes, you might never have written code before, so you could learn how to write code, the basic principles of coding, using this very colorful visual programming language called Scratch. Now, once you learn the basic principles of coding from these videos, I would encourage you to go a step further and learn a language like Python or JavaScript, or even C++ or C, okay, or even Java. All right, these are very friendly real-world languages that could take you a step further in your journey to learning how to write awesome codes and create awesome applications that would make you proud each time someone downloads them onto their device. All right, so we've been looking at a couple of features that Scratch has, and we've also been looking at a couple of things in coding. So far so good. We've looked at the principles of sequence. Okay, the coding is a coding principle called sequence. We've also looked at repetition. We said repetition takes advantage of patterns in our codes. It looks out for things that get repeated over a couple of times, and we place those things in some blocks called loops. Okay, and an example is the forever loop, which we have right here. All right, that we whenever we want stuff to happen all through the time our game is getting executed, we simply put it in inside the loop. Okay, now we need to take this game a step further, and we'll be doing that right now. Okay, now in the last video we placed the score variable right here, the set score to 0. We said this block had to be done at the beginning of the game, so that's why we had to put the when green flag clicked, which happens when the game starts. All right, when we start at this point. Now the score is set to 0 only once. It doesn't happen over and over again, or else your player will get really frustrated, and you know what that means. Now we don't want that. Okay, so we would move on to place stuff inside the forever loop. So what do we want to happen all the time while the game is playing? Now what we want to happen is, once our octopus touches the star, it should increase our score by 1. Okay, it should increase our score by 1. So we're going to put a block here that will help us do that. Now remember, we said that block only happens if the octopus touches the star. Whenever you find things that happen only when other things happen, that's a very good place to use an if statement. Okay, it sounds, pretty obvious, right? So we're going to use an if statement, and the if statement comes under the control segment. Okay, so you can see there's an if statement, there's an if else statement. Okay, but I'll be using the if statement for now. All right, so I'm going to drag it right there and drop it nicely. Thank you, Scratch. Scratch is really cool. It just seems to know, oh, I think this is where you want to put the block. and it puts it there. Now, if statements only happen when a condition is met. All right. So in this case, our condition is going to be met only when the octopus touches the star. That's the condition we want to be met. Now, the touching code or the touching feature in Scratch could be found under sensing. Okay, it makes sense, right? Sensing. Okay, pun intended. All right, so we'll go ahead and look for the touching, and you can see there Scratch has support for so many forms of touching. You could even touch check when colors are touching each other. We could use this for some cool games like the ping pong game, the pong game. Okay, we'll probably look at that later. So the touching block nicely fits in there in the groove that was created for it in the if block. All right, so what does it say? If you notice, it has a question mark. That means it could be a yes, it could be a no. All right, it could be true, it could be false. Okay, and that's how conditions are. So it makes sense. If the condition is true, then do whatever is in the if block. If it's not true, don't do it. It's that simple. All right, now and this is and we're putting this inside the forever loop because all through the game our game needs to keep checking for that. Okay, so it makes sense to put it in a forever loop, right? Okay, so let's quickly put this and get our octopus up and running. Now we want our score to increase by 1 each time the octopus touches the mouse pointer. Remember, right now I'm dropping some blocks, code blocks for the octopus because I've highlighted it right here. Okay, if you want to drop some code blocks for the star, you would have to click on it and highlight it. But right now it's the octopus that's been highlighted. So I'm going to quickly go to my variable section because I want to increase my score by 1. So to increase my score, Scratch gives me a change block. Okay, so I'm going to take the change block right here and drop it in here. Okay, you have to be really careful about where you put blocks because Scratch is going to execute the blocks based on where you place them. Remember, that was the sequence principle, right? So we need to be really careful. All right, and that's the art of coding, knowing where to put what. All right, and in this video, in the set of videos I've discussed so far, I pretty much tell you why you do whatever you do. Okay, so after increasing the score by 1, guess what we're going to do? We're going to play a sound, so it sounds cool. All right, so what sound are we going to play? Now so far I've the sound I've added, there's an ocean wave, there's a splash sound. All right, let's see the splash sound. Okay, how about the ocean wave? All right, okay, so these sounds got added for us by Scratch. Okay, but now we need the bubble sound. Let's see if we have our bubble sound there. Okay, so our bubble sound is still there, right? Okay, that's cool. Okay, so we'll go back to the code for the octopus and we'll play a sound. Okay, let's play a sound. What sound are we going to play? Each time it collects that sound, we would let's see, do we do the bubble sound? Okay, let's do the splash sound for now. Alright, so let's start our code and test it out. Okay,